full of stats.
Engage Burnham.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win! Because we have...
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome back to the CommLink Podcast for episode 6. I'm Stubb and I'm joined by Silvius. How's it going, man?
I'm doing great. Ready for episode 6.
Hey, love to hear it. Got a good episode for today. We've got IAE is wrapping up in the verse. We've got some roadmap roundup, 322 features to talk about. I've got some Yogi action in the Leaks Discord to talk about, and some other things that'll come up during the course of the episode. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Guess we should go ahead and start by talking about IAE wrapping up. What did you think of this year's event?
I enjoyed it. I did miss Jax. Obviously, we didn't have Jax this year. They did put out those couple of videos we talked about last episode. So we did have a little bit of videos to go with it, but wish Jax would have been there. My fleet changed up a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Just a little bit. So I upgraded the Deemer to the Galaxy.
Very nice.
I think I'm done for a while, hopefully, because I wasn't going to do it. And then I think base building is really going to be one of the most interesting parts of the game for me. And since they announced the Galaxy can do the base building, and none of the group that I play with has a Pioneer yet. So
What do you mean by yet?
by yet, I meant the people that we play with. We might bring more people in that have Pioneers.
Okay, I see. Because I was going to say my credit card is securely tucked away.
Nah, hang on to that, merchant man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we might make some more friends that have a Pioneer. But as of right now, I'm the only one of the small group of people I play with that have a base building ship. So I thought that was good to grab onto, and won a ship through a content creator, Captain Skyrider. Awesome guy. Go watch his channel. He's on Twitch, not YouTube. But if you're a Twitch person, go check him out. Good guy, great content. I won a Zeus CL, the cargo variant, off of his channel.
Very nice.
First time I've won a Star Citizen ship in my 5 years of being a Star Citizen. So, yeah, it was cool. And so add a little ship to my roster, and overall I enjoyed the event.
Yeah, congrats on that giveaway win. The Zeus is such a cool looking ship, dude.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to flying it around, and I've been enjoying the Spirit Loner too. So it was a good pickup.
We were playing around with that some last night. Cool ship, the Spirit. But yeah, so you went for the Galaxy, right? And are we still operating under the pretense of when Pyro goes live, you're going to do whatever it takes to get to Concierge that day?
Yeah.
That was said, right?
Donate to my Patreon. We'll see. Yeah, no. I don't plan on spending. I mean, I might upgrade that CL to the bounty hunting variant, but
yeah,
for the most part, I'm pretty good with the fleet I have, and I might change it around a little bit with the credit I have, but I rather work towards ships in the game than just buy everything with my credit card. But I think what I have now is a decent little start to get playing with, especially with the mix of ships we have between our friend group and everything. But
yeah, we do have a pretty solid variety.
You didn't change up your hangar at all, did you?
I did not, and to be honest, there was a moment where I was on the pledge store and I was taking a long, hard look at that Zeus Bounty Hunter variant. I think is what the Ilmar.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, oh, I know I'm not going to just outright buy this pledge, but maybe I'll upgrade another ship and, make it to where it's only an extra, $50 or whatever it was. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I am very interested in the Zoo series. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that I'm never going to buy another ship or, make another pledge. But as of right now, I think I'm okay with where my little fleet is at. Um, and I do want to sort of keep that carrot at the end of the stick of having some ships that I want to grind some credits out for to buy in game
Right.
and actually play the game. And I think the Zeus is going to end up on that list of games that are not games but ships that I want to just buy in game. Kind of like the MSR that I love that ship even though it's not the best in the game. I just think it's a cool looking ship. And bought one of those in game. Even though I'm a fan of it, like I don't need the pledge,
Right.
So, and it gives you something to work towards. But yeah, IAE overall, had the chance to dip into the game for a couple play sessions during it. I thought our second play session last night was significantly more stable than the first one after IAE had kind of recently gone online in the free
Yeah.
fly event. So I thought things were feeling pretty good overall. You know, I also do miss the Jax videos, but I did enjoy the Garmin Humble stuff. And what was it? Was it Milo? I forget the influencer's name.
It did start with an M.
Yeah, but Miley, something like that. Anyway, those were fun too with the Orison footage. I'm curious to see what they do with Jax in the future, but it does look like we're gonna have to wait until next year, right? No surprise final video drop in sight, it seems, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. IAE, I still feel like was a success and good for the game because it did seem like, for the most part, servers held together all right, and a lot of people were able to get in and check out the game. And uh, Star Citizen had its largest sales day ever during IAE as well.
The hype is real.
The hype is real. I've got an article from Game Rant pulled up. Star Citizen breaks record after 11 years. Is the headline there. And I'm not going to read this whole article. If you're listening to this podcast, you already know what Star Citizen is. But on November 25th, Star Citizen raised $3.5 million in just 24 hours. So not a bad day at the office, as they
Hell
say.
yeah.
Yeah, the hype is real.
Yeah, I thought the servers were just touching on that for a second. I thought they were probably the best free fly servers that I had played on. So
yeah,
there was an issue with the hangar doors desyncing where you would explode, leaving the hangars a lot. I think they cleaned that up mostly towards the end of the event there, but that was a doozy for a lot of people. And
yeah,
if I was a free flyer and that was my first experience, yeah. But other than that, yeah, servers ran really well for free fly, and looking forward to playing 321.1 for a little bit without the free fly going on, because it seems like a pretty good build.
Yeah. And we also got a couple or a few new vehicles in the game, right? There's the Soylent Green, the SRV, and the Tumbril Storm AA got introduced during IAE as well. So there's a lot of, it seems like it was a success all around financially from everything that I can tell, as well as not everything was completely on fire, which is nice. Looking towards the rest of the year, 321.1 has been on live for a little while now, and we are looking forward to 322. So there was a roadmap roundup that went up this week, and we should take a look at it because it wasn't bad. Some neat stuff on here, I would say. So
Yeah. 322 seems like it's going to be a pretty good like quality of life patch. A few cool things in there, but hopefully we just don't get another buggy holidays patch.
yeah,
That's all
crossed.
that's all we can hope for over the holidays is a non-buggy patch.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe if they end up running the preview channel over the holidays, that'll help with some of the server stability, split it up a little bit between live servers and preview channel. I don't
True.
know. On that roadmap roundup, just mentioned some of the notable changes that they put up here. We've got the new derelict settlements. So settlements with both gameplay and social elements spread throughout the Stanton Wilderness using the Rastar tool. We've got player hair update is actually is that on the? I think I just confused myself. My bad. So I've got our doc pulled up and then also the actual roadmap on the RSI website.
The player hair update is on there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, maybe they just. I'm not seeing it under the notable changes, maybe. Which I agree with you, CIG. I'm just kidding. That new hair
Not notable.
Not notable at all. But yeah, new derelict settlements coming online. Arena Commander is getting some love with 322 as well. Couple new maps. We've got Bloodshot Ridge that is going to be joining for all FPS and all flight modes, excluding Classic Race and Pirate Swarm. And then we also have Maker's Point, which is going to be coming to all FPS modes. So in addition to those two maps, multi-crew and spawn locations. This is kind of big,
Yeah.
I think. So it says, updating all maps to utilize a new spawn location system for spawn selection. This update also enables the long-awaited introduction of multi-crew to Squadron Battle, Pirate Swarm, Vandal Swarm, Team Tank Battle, and Free Flight. So this is one of those. Yeah, this is a bullet point for 322 that I'm really looking forward to. I think that's gonna be awesome. Multi-crewing.
Oh yeah,
and doing some fleet battles in arena. Oh god,
I wonder.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I wonder if it's going to be limited to certain ships. How Master Modes is limited to the Gladius right now.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
I wonder if it's only going to be like, because if they're testing the engineering, which I guess would be part of the multi-crew, right? Is that, other than turret gunning, I don't know what multi-crew they would be testing.
Right.
So if engineering is part of the test, then only ships that have been updated for engineering would be in the test, I would assume.
So maybe we should go into this update thinking it's going to be a pretty small pool of ships.
Yeah, I would think so. Like, they showed off the CitizenCon demo with the Hercules, so maybe the Hercules series. We know they've been working on the Hammerhead with the relays and updating its components, so maybe the Hammerhead. Yeah, I know they've been talking about the Retaliator gold standard for years now, and I know one of the teased ships that's coming out the next like 12 months looked like the silhouette of the Retaliator base, so maybe we see a Retaliator in there, but yeah, I feel like it's going to be a limited pool of ships probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, honestly, I do really hope the Hammerhead is part of that limited pool, if it is limited. Just because that, to me, even though we haven't really spent a lot of time on a Hammerhead, like crewed out or anything, like it's still the ship that I first think of when I think about multi-crew combat.
Yeah.
You know?
It's because we have a crew of basically 3 people right now. So
Yeah.
so it's hard to crew a hammerhead with 3 people.
Right.
But yeah, I think I know our third that we normally play with doesn't enjoy turret gunning very much, but
Yeah.
if you want to fly me around and let me blow stuff up while I chill in a turret and drink some coffee, like, sign me up, brother.
Will we be able to multi-crew with people that aren't in a party with us? Right. So if we're on the same team though, even though we're not partied up, will it match make people and let us join the same ship together?
That's a good question. I'm assuming they would make you form a party first, so you couldn't just have like trolls joining your ship and ruining everything. So
Yeah, but what if you're the solo? Like I'm thinking about people that are either solo players or like us, where it's 2 or 3 to a group usually, that wouldn't be able to fully crew like a ship like a Hammerhead, but would want to roll the dice and play with some randos and hopefully have a good time together.
yeah,
Like, I don't know, like you have to go into PU first and then go into server chat and see if anybody wants to party up and then go to menu together and then into arena. Like hopefully we'll
yeah.
be able to, like, yeah, you don't want trolls, but at the same time, like you want
Maybe
solo players or people that just don't have any friends online at the time or whatever to still be able to enjoy, or not even to enjoy, but to be able to test these new arena commander features.
I think best case scenario would be they do like a private lobby where you can do just your group, and then they have an open lobby where it fills automatically.
Yeah, just give people a toggle, right? Either open party or not, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the solution there. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see that. Even if we don't get our hands on it a lot next patch, I'm excited to see people play it that have these groups and like are used to multi-crewing ships like that. Get a chance to check it out and see what engineering is going to be about. Because we've talked that over a couple times now about. There's a few concerns with it, but I think it's going to be a cool feature that a lot of people will enjoy. So looking forward to seeing it.
More beams. So also with 322, in addition to those Arena Commander updates, they're messing around with inventory, openable cargo containers, right? We'll be able to put smaller objects into those larger cargo boxes now, right? I think that's essentially what's happening.
I guess like the longer ones will have just a door on the end, and you can just put them inside of each other. I saw. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. They're testing that tonight in the Evocati, and one of the devs said cargo containers will be in. We need you all to not troll with them tonight. Right now, they can be placed anywhere. So you know how that will go. Don't be that guy with containers in the spaceport. That was posted by Wikipedia on, I guess, the Evo spectrum. But yeah, I guess now
people are definitely going to troll.
I guess you can put them wherever you want. But I know Evo testers have an agreement they sign when they agree to be an Evo tester, and I'm pretty sure part of that agreement is in the Evo environment you don't PvP each other unless you both consent to it.
Oh, okay.
So he also said he's going to consider trolling like that with the containers a PvP breach. So
okay,
I guess it's just something they haven't like fixed yet where you can place them or something. So that was just an interesting note I saw on the Discord earlier.
Yeah, that's fun. Hopefully everybody behaves themselves and don't do anything to lose your access to Evocati.
Yeah.
322 also bringing in procedural FPS recoil and the FPS weapon balance. That's partially, I guess, says partially in shown at CitizenCon. I do remember seeing the footage at CitizenCon. Does that mean that these updates are going to be partially in 322, or they're already partially in the game?
I think it means they're going to be partially in 322. So
Okay.
like maybe half the guns get changed or something. I don't know.
Got it. So most likely we shouldn't expect all FPS weapons to be updated right away.
I think that's what we're saying. Unless that was pulled from Evocati notes. So they still could be working on updating the rest while testing these other things. So before we get to see it, it could be fully in. We don't know yet.
I see what you mean. So by the time it gets through the Evocati process and then through PTU and then eventually live, maybe it'll be fully in.
Yeah.
Just not currently there. Got it. Cool. And then we've got structural salvage to talk about as well. Salvage has gotten a lot of love this year, right? We got the introduction of it. We got the vulture, and missions have been added, salvage missions, and now we're getting structural salvage. This is going to introduce the concept of internal storage, which is a buffer in the ship that will fill. This buffer's storage size will depend on the size of the salvaging ship. Once full, the virtual storage needs to be emptied using the filler station.
So that's that's a pretty good change for salvage, especially for the vulture. So now you're not having to go down and pop out like every other box. It seems like it's going to fill up to a certain size, and then you go down there and do 4 boxes at a time instead of 1 or 2.
Yeah, that seems like such a good fix because, I've not been doing a lot of salvage gameplay anyway, but just looking at the way the vulture currently operates, like running that thing solo and having to continuously run back and forth for boxes just doesn't seem like the best design in the world.
Yeah, I've run it solo a few times, and I mean, usually I'm doing it just, relax and whatever, but having to get up from your seat every so often, that gives you a little anxiety of, somebody could be attacking me while I'm not in my pilot's chair or whatever. So it's definitely a good change, not only just, for the sake of saving time and running back and forth, but, you don't have to worry about getting out of your seat as much, being solo, and it's a good change. I wish they would have put, I always thought the way they could fix it would be like a remote tractor beam in the cargo area, like right above the door. You just, you remote into it from the pilot's chair, and then you just move the stuff with the beam. I thought that would be a cool fix, but I'm also okay with the buffer, so they're doing something.
Yeah, buffer sounds like a good move. They also mention here salvage functionality is now split into multiple segments after entering salvaging mode. So we've got hole scraping, fracturing mode, and disintegration. Talking about hole scraping first, the current salvage system to remove the hole from ships. Says the hole is not scraped off the materials lost in the process when moving on to steps 2 to 3.
And steps 2 to 3 would be fracturing and disintegration.
Yeah. Fracturing, this mode will break up intact ships or derelicts into smaller pieces. And then disintegration, that mode will generate the resource from the broken down pieces. So you got to fracture, then disintegrate.
Yep. And they have noted in the patch notes that the animations and stuff aren't final for this. And I think we talked about it a little last night while we were playing. Curious how the fracturing works and the disintegration, obviously, but it seems like the fracturing is almost like a mining laser that you kind of charge up the ship and then gets to a certain charge, and then it pops into more pieces, and then you go to the disintegration. So that seems like I'm okay with that. It's just another beam, but
another beam.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
like it's another beam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do like that the multiple segments is fun for just pure gameplay purposes, because at least you're changing modes. Like that's such a small thing, right? Like I'm gonna hit right alt W and then I'm gonna change it to right alt S from fracturing mode to disintegration. But at least that is something. You're engaging with the game, but ultimately, um as you're going from mode to mode, you're just going to go from beam to beam, right? So
Right. And then
I hope beam gameplay, I know not entirely, but I hope at least to a sizable extent, is more placeholder than anything. Like I know there are going to be beams in the full release, and that's fine. But as of right now, so much of what you do in the game, oh, you want to heal your buddy with the med gun, there's a beam. You want to use a tractor beam, there's a beam. You want to salvage, there's a beam. You want to mine, there's a beam. Beam, 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 beam. You know what I mean? It's like it's a wonder that we're not, gonna subdue bounty targets with a beam, which maybe we will.
we might.
with non-lethal options. Who knows at some point in the future. But yeah, I hope that they continue to iterate past just some of these gameplay loops, all kind of feeling, I don't want to say feeling the same necessarily, but kind of looking the same to a large extent.
Yeah, that's another thing with the disintegration. Is that another beam? Is it going to be basically hull scraping, but just making the rest of the ship disappear as you scrape it or whatever?
Yeah, that beam's extra hot.
So, but we know the Vulture and the Reclaimer have munchers, like with the teeth in them.
Yep.
So hopefully, I mean, I haven't seen any Evocati videos, or we don't know what any of this looks like as of yet. So maybe if it is a beam, it's obviously, hopefully, a placeholder until eventually you have to drag those pieces into the like munching area. But maybe you already have to do that. I don't know. Because we don't have our hands on it yet. But it is. I didn't expect this part of salvage to be in by the end of the year. Honestly, so it's cool that it's happening in 322.
Yeah, it is. It's nice seeing, we're at a point with Star Citizen where finally CIG isn't just introducing a new gameplay loop and then just what feels like neglecting it for years. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Here's tier 0 salvage. Now enjoy it for the next 2 years before we touch it again.
Yeah.
Like feels like we've moved past that, at least to a certain degree. So even though I'm not out there doing a lot of salvaging, I'm still happy to see the gameplay loop itself is continuing to be iterated on and added to. So happy for people out there doing that hard work, and I'm happy that they've got some new gameplay features coming their way.
I still want to crew out a Reclaimer, but that ship it's almost like the Carrack is just a chore to crew right now, with especially the elevators being pretty busted, and I want to do it so bad, but it's just sometimes the game makes it so hard. But hopefully they show the Reclaimers some love here soon, because it being one of the only 2 salvage ships, it could definitely use a little update.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific to go off of other than just pure hopium, but I do hope that the next year with people being moved from Squadron 42 back over to PU, I'm hoping that some of these ships that haven't had some love in a while, that need it, are really going to start to see it next year. But we'll see.
I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but I keep saying I want them to give us information about how they're going to update the old ships.
Yes.
Because I love new ships, and they're cool, and obviously they're standard of making ships, and they understand a lot more of what they need to do when they make them now. So updating all those old ships, what is it, 140, 150, something like that now? It's going to take a while, so I would love some information on how they're going to do that.
Please. Please. At any point in time, Chris, you can tweet us if you'd like. You can send us a DM on Instagram, both platforms at CommLink Pod, by the way, and just let us know, Chris. Any day now. But because there are so many ships, like you just said, well north of 100. So, and we're at a point where there's so many in game. There's so many concepts that we know about that still haven't come out yet. And from time to time, we're still getting hit with surprise ships, which isn't a bad thing, but it does make you think about that backlog just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you do other than, if there's some possible way for them to just add a ton of, more people to the ship teams without that then becoming an issue of, too many cooks in the kitchen. So.
Right. Yeah. I feel like they need a team specifically to upgrade old ships, and it could be one or two teams, but yeah, I think there needs to be at least one team on it, and they just need to, get a starting point and just start knocking them out.
Yep. I agree. New ship team and an old ship team, I think is a good move. All right. But so that was all that I see for the 322 features. Anything else in regards to 322 before we move on to talk about Yogi?
I think that's it.
Yeah. Seems like we're pretty much covered it. And hopefully we'll get some maybe more details in the near future as we get closer and closer inevitably to 322 coming out later this year. So Yogi.
This was
tell us about Yogi.
This was one of the developers in the Leaks Discord. Anybody listening that follows Star Citizen is probably, if they're not part of it, they at least know what it is. The Leaks Discord, where they post leaks, they post Evocati notes, whatever. It's where a lot of our information comes from. You will spoil a lot of surprises for yourself if you're part of it, but basically it's just a community Discord. Some of the moderators and stuff have ties to some people inside CIG. But anyway, some of the devs have stated they followed the Discord and they use the Discord for some of their information because different departments get different information about whatever they're doing it internally. So if I guess a vehicle team doesn't know about a certain feature, they might learn from it from the leaks or whatever. But we do know devs frequent the Discord, and this is Yogi, the dev that did the flight model presentation at CitizenCon. He came into the general chat of the Leaks Discord, and he just hung out for a while, and he answered some people's questions, and we pulled some of his answers, and we're just going to kind of talk about them.
Yeah, so before we even get into the list, to me it's kind of crazy that a dev is allowed to openly hang out in a Leaks Discord for the game they're working on. You know what I mean? That's not some sort of conflict of interest thing, but it's cool that it happened.
He did, in part of the answers here, he did say leaks do kind of, sometimes they can hurt. Not the development, I guess, but sometimes leaks aren't the best for a company. Right, I guess is what I'm getting at, and they acknowledge that. But I think even the moderators of the Leak Discord, if they're approached by a dev and they're like, "Hey, please don't leak this," they won't. So I think there's a good relationship there between the moderators and some of the devs. So while it's a little of a gray area, it is cool that they're hanging out in there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And here in the doc, first thing that we've got to talk about here is hover mode not coming back to the game. No hover mode for Star Citizen. Apparently, it failed due to a lack of UI, and it also had difficult controls. So you'll be able to disable gravity assist while decoupled, which will make the ship harder to control but less punishing. But no hover mode.
Did you ever experience hover mode? Because I think it was in the patch right before I started playing.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but not much because it's been so long at this point. I do recall it. I honestly don't have like a strong opinion on it not coming back though, because I've not really missed it, I guess.
Yeah. I never got to experience it, so I really don't even know how it was. A lot of people seem to like it, and to some extent, though, because it gets talked about all the time.
Right. It does. And maybe I just wasn't utilizing it correctly or whatever back in the day, or I've forgotten about something, but yeah, I don't know. And look, they're saying right now it's not going to be brought back, but check back in 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Hover mode might eventually come back. This thing's still in alpha. For now, it's not coming back.
Right.
See, they're talking about e-warfare. What is e-warfare in Star Citizen?
We don't know much about it, honestly. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the most that I've read about it is in the, what is that ship? The boarding ship.
So it's the Legionnaire?
The Legionnaire, yeah. Legionnaire. They're supposedly supposed to be able to hack into like a ship's systems and allow themselves to like access the docking port. I know that much.
Oh, electronic warfare.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's looks like on August 28th of 2015, there was an article on it posted on robertspaceindustries.com, some design notes.
So that's been a while. I don't even think I've read that.
Yeah, they were talking about this 8 years ago, apparently.
Whew. It's probably changed a lot since then.
Yes. Yeah. And dude, this is one of those pages where you can scroll for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not going to read all of this, but it does talk about the different types of signatures. It talks about the legality surrounding it. Offense-based electronic warfare gets details, as well as defense-based electronic warfare. So there's some neat stuff in here if you're interested in it. I literally just Googled Star Citizen e-warfare, and it was the first thing that came up. But 8 years later, apparently they're talking about bringing it to the game. So.
Yeah. So maybe they're working on the Legionnaire.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because if they're going to talk about it, I'm assuming they're going to have some ships that are able to do it. So like maybe the Herald, the Vanguard Sentinel, maybe the MSR, maybe not. I don't know. So there's probably a few like smaller ships I'm forgetting, but I don't think there's a whole lot of ships capable of e-warfare in the game right now. So,
well, if the MSR qualifies, that's all for the better. Give that ship some more uses.
Yeah, please.
Let's see. This one isn't highlighted, but I do think still worth talking about. Master mode tuning will come in steps. In general, they'll start with fixed archetype frames, so all light fighters, medium fighters, etc. will be quite similar initially before they dive into the details between ships. Right, master modes has been on Arena Commander now, but just important to keep in mind that as time goes on, right, they're going to continue to iterate on master mode, and ships are going to be going through various balances for the foreseeable future.
It seems like they're doing the same thing with master mode ships as they did with the weapons and shields and all of the components, really, because they're all pretty much the same right now. With slight variation, but yeah, it seems like they're going to bring everything to like a level playing field and then kind of give each ship and stuff its own flavor, I guess.
Yeah, and dude, that's another thing I think about sometimes. Like, imagine being on the ship team and having to balance so many ships. Like,
Yeah.
not just like quality of life updates. Like we've talked about, like, God, the Caterpillar. We've been waiting for the Caterpillar update forever now with the module stuff, right? But in combat scenarios as well, um, like, it's so much to keep track of. So
Yeah.
much.
I would not want their job because, they have small, medium, heavy fighters, mining ships, industrial ships, like cargo ships. They all have their own components. They all have relays. They all have certain amounts of armor. Like, it's a big task, and yeah, I hope they do it well.
Yeah, same here. And speaking of the different stats and such as ships, we've got highlighted ship mass will matter more in the future.
That's
So
kind of
how heavy?
kind of important for a lot of things, especially
Mhm.
right now when like an Aurora can like basically one shot an 890 by ramming it. Like, the 890 should just be able to like rush that off like anything, like barely anything happened. So like, just making big ships feel like big ships and smaller ones feel like small ships, and maybe our our multi-crew ships won't get blown around on planet surfaces anymore. But that's, I don't know, that's one of the things that I've been kind of looking forward to for a while. Just for little things, not like anything huge, but just little things like the Aurora, like blowing up the 890, or just, I feel like you should feel more protected in those big ships because they're big, not just because you have a lot of weapons or whatever.
Yeah. You want to be able to sense that in the gameplay, and it not just be, well, my ship takes up more pixels on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris meant what he said at CitizenCon when he mentioned that they're trying to get everything shown in the next 12 months in the game that they were
He
showing
meant
off
it.
at CitizenCon. He meant it. That does not mean it's going to happen. It just means that he meant it. And I don't think Chris is much of a liar. I think he's meant, at least the majority of things that he's said about the game over the years, but things change, plans change, development cycle happens. So, but it's good to know, I guess, at least that he was sincere and it wasn't just pure hype.
Yeah. He seems optimistic, but he always seems optimistic, so it's hard to tell sometimes.
Let's see. What else do we have on here? Not entirely sure how ships without control surfaces will work yet. Instead of invisible control surfaces or thrust vectoring, they will likely just have different stall speeds. They will not have bricks fly like bricks. They still need to be controllable.
It's a little concerning that he just came out and said, we don't know how it's going to work. Like,
yeah, it is.
We know it's going to work, but we don't know how. Which is,
we know we're going to fix this. We just can't tell you what that's going to look like.
Yeah, and that's a little bit further in the notes. I think he talks about Squadron 42, but being this close to, this close soon, to Squadron 42 releasing and still not knowing how some of the ship aerodynamics and stuff will work. Like, obviously they have a lot smaller pool of ships for Squadron, but it does me a little concerned. But I mean, I'm sure they're going to have it done by the time it comes out, but just that they're this far along in the flight model development, and they're not sure how it's going to work.
It's like we don't have a hint or a clue. Nothing. Yeah, it is a little concerning.
Yeah, but what they showed off at CitizenCon looked cool, and I did have that concern of bricks flying like bricks. So I'm glad they did address that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They're going to try and give aerodynamically shaped ships better aerodynamic properties. To what extent is unknown, but that makes sense to me, right? My immersion.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, like the Corsair with its big ass wings needs to have a reason for the big ass wings.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll be one more thing that'll make ships feel unique, you know?
Yeah.
You want to take the next item?
Yeah, do we want to talk about the Squadron 42 QED any? Yeah, sure. Let's
do
QED
it.
is not a use case for Squadron 42, so it was not dealt with when we're making the new quantum boosting. Obviously, for Star Citizen, it will be dealt with. That also means no QED in Squadron.
QED, that's what like the Cuddy Blue has, right?
Quantum. I forget what the E stands for. I think it's what the blue has. It's it's not the snare that like stops people out of quantum. It's the one that stops people from jumping away from you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you keep them within I think it's like 2,000 meters or something like that within the Cuddy Blue and the QED's turned on, you can't make that jump. But it sounds like if they were to go ahead and put in quantum boosting today, currently maybe if you were in somebody's QED range, you wouldn't be able to jump, but you might still be able to boost away.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly didn't expect QED to be in Squadron 42. Like, it's kind of a niche thing to use, especially in the PU. So, yeah, I didn't really expect to use it in the playthrough, but
right
now we know.
Yeah, seems like possibly when quantum boosting comes online, though, it might make the QED a little obsolete for a while.
Yeah, but who knows how long it is before we see boosting or anything like that.
Yeah, maybe they take care of all of this before boosting ever hits.
Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, being concerned with the flight model and master modes not being done yet, he did say they're not concerned about master modes in Squadron 42. They did a lot of internal PvP testing and prototyping before the Squadron 42 implementation, which, internal testing always turns out a little different than public testing.
Yeah.
So we'll see if, any of the Arena Commander master mode feedback makes it into Squadron. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it seems like he's not concerned about Squadron 42 flight mechanics at all. So
no.
Yeah, maybe we're just overthinking it here.
Let's see. Also of note, currently countermeasures are disabled in navigation mode, but Yogi's unsure whether they'll keep that or not. So if you're not in your combat mode, if instead you're in nav mode and somebody sending missiles your way, currently you can't use countermeasures to take care of those missiles for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm crazy about that because
I'm not either.
If you're trading and traveling and you're in nav mode and get jumped, you either then A, have to flip to combat mode and try and fight it out, or B, run away with no countermeasures.
Right.
So I do hope they change that.
To me, countermeasures, those should be accessible in either mode, right? Because I think that they have definite use cases both when you are actively participating in the combat and also while trying to escape.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like to me, that doesn't make sense. And hopefully they'll change that. But at least for the time being, Yeah, no flares and such while you're running away in nav mode. What else do we have?
Speaking of quantum boosting, they said that colliding with someone in quantum or when accelerating in quantum will be possible, which I don't think is possible right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know a couple of times I've gone into quantum jumps and like going like through a station or maybe even an asteroid or another player's ship. So I'm pretty sure right now you just kind of like, as when you enter QT, your ship just kind of like doesn't, it'll just go through anything.
Yeah.
Even planets sometimes if you're not careful. So yeah, that's a cool little change.
Yes, it is. And then it says, when master modes are ready, it'll be rolled out to all ships at the same time with the usual process of player testing, helping them to find out what doesn't work and adapt things accordingly. They rely heavily on public testing for that, and it will take some time until all the quirks are ironed out, i.e. never. In the end, they want a better gameplay experience than what we have now. So that is interesting, right? Currently in the master modes testing in Arena Commander, it's very limited what you can use.
Right.
But they're saying here it's going to be all ships at once, which I guess makes sense, right? You wouldn't want, say, a Gladius with master modes somehow dogfighting, say, I don't know, an Arrow that for whatever reason doesn't have master modes yet. Like that would be a little screwed up.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but also that to me, like that's preparing me with the mindset of, oh, once this thing does hit live, there's going to be bugs popping up with ships all over the place. There's going to be balancing issues popping up all over the place, which is good for the long term, but maybe combat's going to be pretty messy short term after master modes hits live.
I hope they test it in Arena Commander as much as possible before they move it over to live. And obviously, like the use cases are going to be a little different between just a pure combat mode and a mode where you have mining and industry ships and stuff like that. But yeah, I would rather them keep it in master modes or keep it in Arena Commander as long as they need to get it right before they bring it to the PU. And he goes on to say after that one you just read, one fast broad stroke details afterwards might actually be split in steps, like speed limits first, actual G tunings later, etc. I'm not sure exactly. Depends on available resources in an undisclosed future timeline. So I don't know how I feel about that, because it seems like it would be better just to get it all out at one time instead of doing it little by little. Like, do the speed limit test in master modes and get it down, and then do the G tuning test in master mode, or not master modes. I keep saying that. Arena Commander. Do all that testing in Arena Commander, get it as close to good as you can get, and then test it in the PU.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, right, though, he does say that it might actually be split in steps. Like, Yogi's not sure either. It just sounds like that's either his currently thinking or at least CIG's thinking in general. Who knows? But yeah, incrementally on the live would feel kind of like a weird move.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to stay tuned and keep an eye on future word about master modes, because it is going to be interesting watching it make that transition, however it ends up happening, from only being on Arena Commander to also being in PU proper.
Yep.
Buckle up, dogfighters. It's things are going to get spicy for the foreseeable future, I think, with ship combat. Let's see. Also, they talked about that the air and halo belt will not be passable with the new quantum travel. So you're going to get dropped out before you hit the ring itself.
For anybody watching that's not aware of the air and halo, it is actually in game right now. And I think a lot of players, I mean, you can see it in the star map, but I don't think a lot of players like register that it's supposed to be a giant asteroid belt that's not passable in quantum. And we've known they're planning on doing that no quantum through it for a while now. And gosh, how many years ago was it when they showed off those ring stations in ISC? Do you remember that?
Oh God.
You remember
It's been
that?
a while.
Yeah, it was the big structure on the edge of the asteroid belt, and it had the Gladius like flying up to it. And I remember Jared talking about it and everything because it looks so cool.
This is at least 4 years ago, if not 5.
Yeah, it's definitely been a few years. So, I was happy to see him mention that again. Because it's almost like they forgot about it. I didn't know if that was like something they had changed in their development plans where they're like not actually going to make it impassable anymore.
Right.
So just that little tidbit of him saying, yeah, we're still planning on that. And everything will be, hopefully they'll have those cool like stations you have to go travel through at that point. But that'd be great. That's going to change how you travel through the Stanton system a lot, especially if they do the gates where you have to go to specific points to pass through the asteroid belt. So a lot of opportunities for, pirates and stuff at those type of locations, and it'll be cool to see.
Yeah, and breathe new life into the Halo belt, because like you said, it's currently in game, but I think a lot of players, especially if you're not really into mining, probably not even aware of it.
Yeah.
Especially more casual players. Whereas now going forward, once new quantum goes online, everybody's going to have to wrestle with it from time to time.
Yeah.
At least navigating through it or around it. Actually, thinking about, I don't think I've actually been to the Halo belt.
I've been one time. It was the one time I tried mining. In a prospector. There's a certain jump you can line up. I think it's like one of the refinery stations to another refinery station, and you jump so many thousands of kilometers and drop out of quantum, and you're right in the middle of the belt, and you just pick a direction and start mining.
Yeah. I love that people figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
To me, that's still so much of what I have in mind with like exploration gameplay, like somebody going out there and figuring out, all right, how far do we have to jump from point A to point B to get me roughly where this place should be? But then once you discover something like, say, air and halo belt that for whatever reason hasn't been added to star maps before, then you sell that information, right? But anyway, I wish there was more of that in the game, but that's a whole other discussion. We're supposed to get 100 systems. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
Let's see. Current ship tuning for ships like the Spirit series, not tuned for master modes at all. They're tuned such that they fit the legacy system. Interesting tidbit there, that even something as new as the Spirit ships, they're going to have to go back and receive additional love for master modes along with a bunch of others.
Yeah, which makes sense, because why would you tune it for master modes when no other ships have master modes right now? So it would be, I think, dramatically handicapped in the PU right now if it was tuned for master modes and not have them. So that makes sense. It's just, it kind of sucks they keep pumping out all these ships and they're still going to have to go back and do stuff to them.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And then last but not least, no specialized VTOL mode.
Yep. So they're not bringing hover mode back, and no special VTOL mode. I think he did say VTOL would have a little variation in the ships. Like you would get definitely a little bit of advantage, but we don't know what that is. We don't know if you're going to be able to like hover indefinitely with VTOLs, or is your Gladius like right now you can turn upside down 5 meters off the ground and still hover there, but I think that's obviously going to change, but we really don't know what it's going to look like until we get it. So
exactly. There's also leak news, some juicy leak action.
Yeah, so take everything we're
Can we fix that in post?
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. I'll cut it out.
Yeah.
I definitely won't. Yeah, so anything moving forward, take with a huge grain of salt, because this next little bit is hearsay, basically, not confirmed or anything like that.
Yeah, we're now getting into the Johnny Depp Amber Heard section of the podcast.
Oh no.
All hearsay. So some new leaked information about CIG's plans for the end of this year going into 2024. So following some preliminary testing of the replication layer split, the intention is to test the connection of Stanton and Pyro via the jump gate before the end of December on the tech preview channel. It's unclear whether server meshing would be needed for this test. While logic suggests the static meshing would be required for any sort of jump gate, the technology was not mentioned in the plans. Successful deployment of both the replication layer split as well as the jump gate to the tech preview channel would pave the way for a Pyro release, as well as both static and dynamic server meshing next year. So we'll just pause there for a second. That's really exciting. So it sounds like maybe they liked what they were seeing with the preliminary testing of the replication layer split. And we see that added to the preview channel this year.
I hope so. Yeah. It seems like if this is true at all, that maybe we get like the preview channel with the jump gate.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year, which is kind of crazy, which they just started testing Pyro like a little over a month ago, and they're already talking about the jump gate. So if they could get this out on the preview channel and then leave it up over the holidays or something, that would be crazy.
Yes, it would. This is one of those things too where we did the reaction video to this week's Inside Star Citizen. What was it? To Play in Pyro, I believe it was titled. And I was hoping that video was going to have some sort of information about any new additional tech that's going to be part of the next preview channel testing session. And we didn't really get anything specific. They talked about like the reputation system a bit, but didn't explicitly say that was going to be part of the next tech preview. So it's promising that there's at least some chatter about replication layer being added. I would love to see that actually happen.
I assumed they were going to open up Pyro one more time this year, maybe to a slightly larger audience, basically the same playtest, but with the replication layer. And that was pretty much all we were going to get this year. So if we see the actual jump gate and static server meshing before the end of the year, that's pretty huge. Personally, I'm not going to get my hopes up, and I think it's going to be after the holidays that we see the jump gate. But I do think we'll get another Pyro playtest, hopefully with at least the replication layer by the end of the year.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think for sure, some way or another, regardless of what actually is in the build, I think the preview channel does go back up this year, right?
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But what's going to be in it, we don't know.
Exactly. So fingers crossed for replication and fingers crossed for the new reputation system. Continuing on here, it says, furthermore, focus is currently being put on bringing Squadron 42 features the teams have been developing back to the persistent universe. This is reportedly a top priority. Tremendous progress has already been made, and they want to continue boosting the process in the rest of the year and beyond. Work will continue into the new year until they have implemented everything from Squadron 42, with the goal of the Q1 patch to contain as many Squadron 42 features as possible. Pretty exciting. This makes sense, right? So you've got team members coming back to PU from Squadron 42. They just, finished making that thing feature complete. And so now, hey, it's time to go to work on adding this to PU, and we want that to happen as quickly as possible to continue to flesh out Star Citizen while Squadron 42 goes through its polish phase.
Any Squadron 42 features that you're specifically looking forward to that you hope are in the Q1 patch?
That's a good. So specifically for Q1,
Star map.
Yeah, star map for sure. Star map for sure. And I was also thinking of some of the FPS stuff that they were showing off at CitizenCon as well. That's where my brain first went. With like pinging.
That scanning would be cool.
Foot.
Yeah,
because I want to see how that's going to play out in gunfights. But star map even more so for sure. That's been a feature that we have been almost always, for as long as I can remember us playing the game together, moaning about on a pretty continual basis, and the community at large. Like everybody knows, CIG knows, everyone knows the current star map is a pain in the neck, to be polite, and we're all looking really, I think, really looking forward to the new star map coming online. So if that happens in Q1, fantastic. Other features, if they could get the new vaulting system online, I think that would be cool. The new EVA, I think, would be great to see come into the game first quarter, if at all possible. I just think that this makes sense, but I'm also just happy to read it as well, even though it is logical that Squadron 42 people would start to work on putting those things in the game. To see it in writing, even if it is just kind of like a leak, and you have to take it with a grain of salt. I'm still huffing that copium over here, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know people that specifically don't play the game because of the star map. That just getting that updated, it's gonna make everything so much better. So yeah, I hope that makes it in. And the looting UI.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That quick UI. Hope that gets in, and the EVA stuff. The going on and off ladders, the vaulting, the entering and exiting 0G, like,
yeah.
Please, Chris.
That hits so many parts of the game, like regardless of what kind of player you are, you still have to move through the game.
Yeah.
So it'd be such a great quality of life update for everyone.
Mm-hmm. And I think just those couple of things there would, if they update and they work well and they're not buggy, just having those couple of quality of life updates, I would feel like I have a few friends here and there that I poke every now and again, like, hey, you want to try out Star Citizen? But yeah. If they could get that star map fixed and just those couple of, things that every player runs into, kind of tighten it up a little bit, I'd feel a lot better about poking those friends and being like, hey, you want to play a little bit? Want to check it out? See where it's at now? So yeah, hopefully good quality of life patch Q1.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see how quickly the people that were working on Squadron 42 are able to roll up the sleeves and get back to work on. God, that sounds so awful. But to continue to contribute to the PU, let's say.
I
I'm sure when that sort of transition is happening, there's got to be so many meetings before you really do like actual work on the PU.
yeah.
Like just going through agendas and figuring out strategy and who exactly is going to be on what team and what everybody's specific role is going to be, and just delegating everything. Like there's got to be some what's the phrase I'm trying to think of. There's got to be some lead up time to them actually getting to work on the PU again, I would imagine.
I think we've seen some of it already with people coming over, because like we talked about earlier, I didn't expect to see salvage munching coming in this year. So obviously they've put more people on it, because last time we saw it on ISC, it was pretty bare bones and like nothing about it was finished. So I think we can see a little bit of definitely the more ships coming out and stuff like the salvage being updated. We can see some more devs coming over. But yeah, I think they're Q1 of every year, they kind of go over all their tasks, I think, and delegate for the year. And I'm really, really hoping 2024 is the year it all turns around.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I brought up there being some lead up time or what have you to some of these devs like really being able to sink their teeth back into the PU is because I was on the website, and on the dev tracker I noticed that Jake Acapella, I think is how you say the name, from CIG, he's a community manager, right? I think.
Yeah.
He responded to a thread on Spectrum. So the original post was just talking about when will, and there's a link, is a progress tracker deliverables be updated with new timelines. This has been updated in the last 3 updates at least, and all work appears to end in December. So they're talking about something specific on the progress tracker, and Jake responds saying, "We're currently undergoing extensive planning for 2024, including potential team changes. Now that Squadron 42 is feature complete and those resources are being reallocated, we're opting to wait until this process is finished before updating the roadmap further, which may be at the start of the new year. We're also exploring several improvements to the roadmap itself based on the community's feedback," which that sounds nice. But when he says opting to wait until this process is finished, talking about those resources being reallocated, like it makes me wonder how many devs have completely shift gears so far.
Right. Doesn't seem like a lot, if any, it was just a handful like added on to some teams or something. But
and if that's the case, if just whatever smaller percentage of Squadron 42 devs coming over to PU devs has resulted in the increase that we've seen of features in this sort of second half of the year so far, like if that is a sign of things to come for next year when there's even more Squadron 42 devs on it, I think we're gonna, you're on the money. I think we're gonna see a hell of a year for Star Citizen next year.
Well, they said at CitizenCon they're starting base building. Like obviously they already have it concepted at this point, but no work is actually started on it, and they're starting work Q1 of next year. So typically when we hear about something, it's like, oh, well, it's going to be, we'll see it in 5 years maybe. Just kind of been the trend here the past couple of years, but I'm going to be interested to see how fast that goes from beginning development to actually being in our hands when more devs are coming back to the teams. Hopefully, it's like a year and a half turnaround.
That'd be
ideal.
Great.
Yeah, I would like to go back and look at salvage, and I wonder if there's a point we could pick out where they started the development to where we got it in our hands. And obviously base building is going to be a lot more complex. But just to have a timeline of, how the dev teams develop, how quickly they developed stuff in the past when we only had a skeleton crew on the PU versus moving everyone back and like all hands on deck on a certain feature. So
yeah, just to try to get more of a specific gauge on what sort of acceleration we should expect with new updates.
Yeah, like if they started salvage and 9 months later we had it, say that's the base timeline, could we expect base building to be done in 6 months by the time they start working on it? Obviously I don't know if those are the timelines salvage was done in or not, but just as an example, I wonder if we will see a speed into or like faster development on certain features.
I think overall, in a general sense, we're going to feel an increase in momentum of sizable, substantial updates hitting the PU. Which specific areas of the game that's going to be, at first, and how maybe that's going to alternate, who knows? But I do think in that general sense, we're going to feel really good about the progression of development going forward. I hope I'm not wrong.
Especially if they get the Squadron 42 features that were shown off at CitizenCon. If they can just get all of the Squadron 42 stuff in next year, like that will be a huge improvement. So I think it's going to feel like a good year, like no matter what, if we get base building or not. But just those quality of life and Squadron updates coming to the PU, I think just that alone is going to make it feel like a good patch year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if they can get all of those features in within the next 12 months that they were talking about at CitizenCon, like it really will kind of feel like Star Citizen 2.0. Like it would be such a breath of fresh air in so many aspects of the game.
I think Zero State said it best. The worst part about CitizenCon is we have to go back home and play Star Citizen.
Yeah,
not that Star Citizen sucks, but seeing everything that it could be and then going back to playing what it currently is, it's a little tough sometimes.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we're reaching the end of our time this week. I'd like to go over our little too long didn't read section here.
Yeah. I think this is just for the leaks we were talking about. 322 end of year quality of life patch. We know most of the things that are going to be in that already. Might get one or two more surprises, but I think most stuff are locked in for that. Tech preview channel, end of the year. Pyro Stanton connection and replication layer split possible. We don't know. Fingers crossed.
It's happening for sure. Confirmed. Heard it here first. Tell your friends. Like and subscribe.
And then quarter one, heavily affected by development changes where they're bringing in more of those Squadron 42 features, and hopefully they pump those out the rest of the year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. We're going to be saying it, I think, a lot going into quarter one. But sincerely, I think 2024 is going to be a real cool year for Star Citizen.
And quarter two, they went and spoke a little bit about quarter two in Star Citizen Live last week. If anybody checked that out, about 40 minutes into it, they said that for quarter two of 2024, they're aiming for life support, fires, and engineering gameplay, which includes resource network, repair beams, and all the fancy stuff we saw in the CitizenCon demo. And those are just plans, subject to change, but they did point that out, that the fires that we've been hearing about for 4 to 5 years now were finally targeted for Q2 next year.
Yeah. If they come through with it, again, that'll be another substantial update.
Yeah.
So that resource network, it connects to so many different things in the game. Like, I'm excited for that. People are pumped for engineering. So hopefully they're able to hit that Q2. So, but again, we do need to keep in mind some things are going to get pushed back, some things are going to get delayed. But man, even if they can get say 60 or 70% of the stuff that we've talked about for the first half of the year between Q1 and Q2, I think we'll be feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
So as far as the rest of this week, at the time of our recording goes, big happenings going on in the game right now. Siege of Orison is back. That's going to be running from today, November 30th, until December 7th. So we're going to be checking that out. Hopefully we'll be able to enjoy the event and server stability will be good. It's running right now, but neither of us have played it today, have we?
No, I haven't tried it out yet. I know the last time we tried it, it was basically a slideshow, and we gave up pretty quickly. So I'm hoping that it's at least, playable this time and getting more than 5 FPS, but we'll see. We'll hop in there and report back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Fingers crossed it's in a good place. Also, there's no Star Citizen Live this week, but that new Inside Star Citizen with all the pyro talk about the preview channel did go up on the Star Citizen YouTube channel. Our react video has also been recorded, so be sure to check that out as well. Silvius, thank you so much as always. Really appreciate you doing the show here, and it's so much fun. It's really exciting. IAE is behind us. Free Fly is behind us, but 322 is right around the corner.
Lots of stuff to look forward to.
Yep. So we're going to be talking about that as we get closer and closer to that patch dropping, and look towards 2024. As always, keep in mind that we are on X/Twitter and also Instagram at CommLink Pod on both of those platforms. And again, I mentioned earlier, we do reaction videos as well. So if you've checked out the podcast, but not those reaction videos, definitely give those a look-see as well. So far, we've done Inside Star Citizen. We've also started to take a look back at some older Squadron 42 videos featuring some cast members. So check out that content and like and subscribe. Thank you so much for checking us out and spending time with us. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on these 322 features that we discussed. What's some of the stuff that you're really looking forward to? Maybe it's the player hair update. Maybe that's you. Maybe it's the derelict settlements. Some of the new features coming to Arena Commander. Sound off below. I think for me personally, it's probably those Arena Commander updates, just because I've got a bit of a Arena Commander bug right now. But yeah, let us know down below your thoughts on the upcoming 322 and what feature you're looking forward to the most. Silvius, I've been talking and talking and talking. Thanks again, buddy.
Stubb, I appreciate it. Thanks for being here, man. And any listeners, thanks for being here also.
Absolutely. See you next week, everybody. Be safe out there.
See you.